These guys are not experts.
And I'm not sure they're even that smart.
They do like video games.
And I guess you could say they're funny.
Sometimes.
Well, they do like to talk.
And they do have opinions.
It's time for Video Game Replays!
Yo, what's up, VGR family? Back at it again today. Joining me is Larry in the building. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, Aidan. Happy New Year. It's 2026. It's good to see you, man. How you living?
It is 2026, and I'm living pretty good. As you guys see, we got a little duo episode going on. CJ is currently watching a basketball game down there in Detroit, and it's not going in his favor. Let's just say that.
No.
Versus the
bud.
Knicks. Yeah, did not end very well. So we got a little duo episode going on. This episode, we're doing something a little different. We're not doing exactly an extra. We're not doing exactly a game of the week. We're doing a VGR movie night where,
Bum, bum, bum.
we threw some movies out there. I threw one out there. We ended up going with one of my suggestions. It is a movie we both haven't watched before. It is called The Seventh Seal. Pretty interesting. We'll get into it a little later. Let's catch up on some things. Larry, how you going? How you doing? How's the holidays treating you? And what games have you been playing?
Wow, that's a lot of loaded questions right there. I've been good, man. Somehow, luckily, made it through the holidays without anyone in the family immediately being ill. Usually, I think anyone who's got more than 2 people in their life, Christmas brings a cold, a flu, something sneezy. Like I said, we did have, I guess, an aunt to you, cousin to me. She did get sick, but she's doing better. I heard that today. But other than that, like I say, we've all been pretty well, been getting through it. The holidays, Christmas, New Year's was better than I deserved. Again, thank you for the present I got from you. I'll be talking more about that later on. Not today, but we'll see it. It will make an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
My kids did well. They made out like bandits as they do, and like I say, just all in all, I think it was pretty good. I got about 2 weeks off from the employment stuff. Did have to take care of a couple real life things, but nothing too strenuous. A little expensive, but that comes with those territories. New Year's survived. I didn't do anything crazy. I'm an old man. I at least made it to midnight and got through that, and finally went back to work. And kind of wish I was rich. I didn't have to go back to work, but 6 and a half dozen the other. Video game wise, still touching up on a game we started a while ago. Did pick up something a little different to get my brain into a different space a little bit because it was kind of starting to wear on me a little bit. My son actually turned me on to this game. He sent it to me, and it falls kind of into the realm of things I like. It's called Under Par Golf Architect, and basically it's a modern version of what I would call sim golf. And basically you build a golf course and you manage the golf course, but also have the ability to play on it. I just came out on Steam. It's the demo version. I think it's still free right now. They haven't set a date for when it's coming out. But it's pretty good. Now I think he sent to me because he knows I do like simulation games. I do like those management type games. I think one of the last episodes I put out was one about railroads. Did that here on the channel. Go check that out if you haven't listened to it yet. But this reminds me of an old game I used to play, which I do plan on doing at Larry's PC corner on, called Sim Golf, which I can say you basically do this. I do like the golf play in that one better, at least at the moment. But this one here seems more in Sim Golf. It's really just basic shooting. Like you don't control your aim or anything more than I generally want it to go this way. In this one, it's more like playing a round of PGA golf or any sort of golf game that you may have played where you got the 3 clicks, where do you want it to go, play the wind, those kind of things. So kind of deep on that side, kind of deep on the simulation side. I'm intrigued with it. I think say if you're into it, give it a shot, take a look at it. But outside of that, like I say, I just checked out this pretty good movie here, and that's basically the short round of what I've been into for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. for a minute either way. But how about you, man? What's been going on in your world for a while?
Well, kind of the same old, same old. Really, other than the holidays going on, had a little week break off work. With that was nice. Holidays were fantastic. Both sides of the fam made out like bandits. I made out like bandits. It was a great time. Good food. Definitely broke my diet a little bit over the holidays, but
It's the holidays, you can.
yeah, you can't. I got an excuse. It comes with the territory. But other than that, not a ton going on. Haven't been gaming all that much. Touched on a little bit more Earthbound. We're still waiting on that episode. Holiday break. We got our VGR break, so got a lot of stuff going on. Other than that, I haven't really played any other game at all. I don't think. I have not
Yeah.
been. I have not been gaming.
What was that? Arc Raider or whatever was that last thing you were into?
Yeah, Arc Raiders. A couple more buddies of mine have been playing, but I haven't touched on it recently. I've been watching more movies. This is kind of what inspired the idea of the VGR movie night. I've been getting into movies. A little backstory on me: for whatever reason, I'd never really watched that many movies. I watch movies like if the setting was right and everybody was watching a movie, like yeah, I'll go watch a movie. But as an adult, I just never found myself watching movies. I like some animes, I like some TV shows, but there's probably a good 6 months where in that 6 months I watched one or two full movies. Like I just wasn't a movie watcher, but as of recently, I've discovered movies are the shit if you find the right movies. So
Movies are pretty good. Like you said, when you find ones that are good for you. I mean, I'm kind of with you actually. I thought about it going through this. You brought this up. It's like I haven't watched. I think the last, literally from beginning to end credit movie I watched was the Fantastic Four, which was what September.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then before that, it's probably been spring of 2025. So they kind of dropped off my list over the past year. Given I've been trying to put a lot of attention into the podcast with playing video games and getting things moving there, but I think with this I found a different area of movies I enjoy. But what kind of movies do you get into? What's your thing?
Well, I'll tell you. My recommendations. I go on online. People Reddit, or I just look on Reddit. I look online. What are people recommending? I watched movies. I have a new system. I've been ranking every movie I've been watching. I watched Blade Runner 2049, and that was a solid movie. I watched Fight Club because I'd never watched that before. That was solid.
Solid.
Is it Brad Pitt? I'm so bad with names.
Brad Pitt and I can't think of the other guy's name off the top of my head now. As soon as you said that,
I can't either.
But yeah, it's a very good movie.
I watched The Green Knight, which was pretty solid. It's an A24 movie. And then I like a lot of, which nobody around me really does, but I watch anime a lot, so I'm used to subtitles. I don't like watching dub. I watch subs. So I watch a bunch of I watched Old Boy, Mysteries of Murder, City of God, which is pretty good. The Wailing, all those got a pretty high rating, except for Old Boy, which a lot of people are gonna hate me because that's one of those movies where people say are like a perfect movie, but I didn't love it. It was I don't know if you've watched it, Larry, but it was to me, it gave, the movie was trying to present a serious tone, but some of it was so comedic and almost silly to me. I couldn't help but laugh in some of the serious moments. So, a lot of my rankings are based off personal enjoyment. Like I can watch a movie and objectively I can say, "Oh, that's a good movie. It's well written, it's shot beautifully, it's good acting." But if my enjoyment was a 5 out of 10, even if it's a 9 out of 10 movie, if my enjoyment's a 5 out of 10, it's not going to get a 9 out of 10. It's going to meet somewhere in the middle. I can realize it's a good movie, but if I don't enjoy it, it's not going to get a high ranking. That's kind of what I said on it.
You say Old Boy. Is this an anime? The anime Old Boy?
No, this is 80s, 90s, maybe.
Okay. Actually, I found 03 and 2013 is the only thing I have available.
Oh, it might be an 03 actually. Yeah, it is 03.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I think it's I think it's a Korean kind of action revenge kind of movie.
Which actually looks like it may have been based off of an anime, so go figure that, or at least a manga. So
Hey, there we go. That actually doesn't surprise me at all.
Okay.
But yeah, it's it wasn't bad though. I just wasn't. A lot of people like say like, oh, that's one of their favorite movies or one of the best movies, but I didn't enjoy it all that much. I'm just an honest guy.
Well, I'll interject and throw in my thing. My worst problem about movies is I love old kung fu movies. I like new kung fu movies too, but I'm more a fan of the 70s, 80s, even some of the 90s kung fu movies. And I personally love a good dub movie just because I think the bad dubbing adds a whole layer of intrigue to the movie. Just because like it's bad, it's wrong. And some of them, I watch enough of these movies that I watch them subtitled, but I also watch it dubbed so I can actually take the action in a little bit better. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of Korean. What is it? Cinema. I don't know why I prefer the Japanese ones. Of course, I love the Hong Kong movies and stuff, but a lot of Korean ones just don't hit it with me, and I can kind of see where you're going. It's a weird way they behave and direct with a lot of them.
Well, I don't know. I would explain some of the stuff, but I don't know if you're planning on watching this movie, so I don't want to spoil it.
Sure.
So I will hold off on that. But actually, I've been enjoying a bunch of. Actually, some of my highest rated stuff I rated was Korean cinema. Like, although I was gonna go on a tangent, but we'll wait until I finish my point. Like, Memories of Murder, that was a really good one. I recommend that one a lot. I really enjoyed that. And The Wailing, it was kind of it's The Wailing is more of a, it's kind of to do with like demons and religion and pairs in with that. Like, there's a sickness, and the sickness is caused by some spiritual force. But Memories of Murder is more of like a detective and like how like humanity and dealing with murder. But Memories of Murder, I really recommend. And The Wailing is one of those which the women in my life would definitely hate it because there's not like a clear cut, super precise, happy ending where everyone gets married and everyone loves each other. So that's the type of movie my mom likes, and if anything is different, then she doesn't like it. But The Wailing is one of those. At the end of the movie, I literally thought about it for days after, and be like, and I had my own interpretation that I think is completely correct. And if you go back and like think about earlier parts of the movie, like that maybe confuse you a little bit at first, you're like, that's why that happens. Everything makes sense now. So The Wailing was kind of like that to me. I really liked it. But yeah, that's what shot me in this movie tangent and watching more movies. So that's where I thought of The Seventh Seal. I just saw it somewhere online and said, hey, we should watch this. It seems interesting. And Larry said, yeah, since you recommended it, that does seem very interesting. Let's do it.
I have to agree. I mean, like I say, I looked at it and I was like, just, before we get too deep into it, but the first question in my mouth is like, from 1957? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, fuck it, let's try this shit. Let's look at it. And yeah, this is something I think that's still being, it's 75 years old, 70 years old. This is an intriguing movie.
Ever want to bet on sports and play casino right from your couch? Tired of these big agencies with their BS rules and unfair odds? Good thing there's a solution for you. Check out the new VGR online sportsbook and casino today. Sign up with code VGR for up to a $1,000 deposit match. We have your favorite matches all year round to bet on. You want to bet some NBA Jam? Bet on VGR OSC. You want to bet Pong? Find us on VGR OSC. Want to bet Tecmo Super Bowl? Good thing that's on VGR OSC. Casino more your style? No worries, we got you covered there. VGR Online Sportsbook and Casino has that last word in our slogan for a reason. Come play some of our exclusives such as Super Mario World Series Poker, UN Slotdrin, Teenage Mutant Ninja 3-Card Poker, and much, much more. Refer a friend and you'll both receive a shout out on the next VGR podcast. Get betting today, nerds, at VGR Online Sportsbook and Casino. Must be 21 or older. Rules and terms apply. Not available in select countries, states, countries, or counties or territories. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER today. All satire ad.
And we do have a question of the week, and that's I kind of based it around this movie a little bit.
Okay.
When death reaches your door
Hmm.
and you die, what do you hope remains of yourself afterwards?
What I hope remains of myself, like legacy, like physically, like
Legacy, more legacy wise, more not really physically. Kind of was not
okay.
what I was thinking.
Well, I like to have my left hand still be here just because I, made so much love to this hand. But no, okay. Well, I'll answer your question based off of. I hope that somewhat. I guess I'll say just my legacy. My hopes that people, at my funeral are talking, about. Um, I'd like to think somewhere. Like I said, I know on the surface I'm an asshole. Um, I think it's a trait that runs in my family. I'm an asshole. My brother's an asshole. All my brothers are assholes. But I think that's the world we live in. Has kind of got us here. But on the on the people who knew me, I hope to some degree that they will say that I was caring. I did. I was carrying on the idea that I cared about you. I wanted you to have the best of what you could, and my being an asshole would stand in the way of someone keeping you from getting the things that you wanted, or however it was. Um, I would hope that, like say, somewhere they realize I do have. I'm a teddy bear when it gets down to it. I'm a nice guy who loves. I cried at more movies than I hate to admit, but I also have daughters, so I think that kind of affects a man's behavior. If you have a daughter, something changes, and suddenly you become emotional before they become all emotional. That kind of shit kicks into play.
Mm-hmm.
I guess though, I think the one thing that I'm going to really say that I think that I strive towards, and it's because kind of how my mom raised us. Mom's thing is you will not let anyone say anything bad about me and my kids, and that's on the idea of you don't give them a reason to. So with that, the same mentality I think I have is, yeah, I can say I'm an asshole, and that's fine. You can say I'm an asshole, but I just don't think that there's anything you could really say worse about that, about me. Or at least that's my hope. But on the same token, I would hope that my kids took enough of that they wouldn't have anything bad either said against me or them in their life outside of, maybe you have an attitude, which we put up our walls where we put up our walls. But I would hope, just like I say, that there's no bad words could be said about me outside of Larry's an asshole. And everybody like, yep, yeah, he is. So I think if anything, that's my one legacy. I mean, outside of that, I think that's part of what pushed me to, hey, let's do this, because I didn't want to be too many of the internet dads already, which that's still kind of crossed my mind as something I wouldn't mind to put my 2 cents in on. But I hope that I show enough of my own personality in this that somewhere when I'm long gone, this will still be here. And I hope, I'll have the ability to come back and look at one day of thinking, I really hated fucking Felix the cat. So those kind of things are really just, that's what I want is don't say nothing bad about me. I was a good person somewhere, and we're still writing part of the legacy as we're talking today. So these are the things I think I want to leave behind, but I'm closer to it. So I don't know. I guess I'm a little weird about it. How about you? What's your future looking to leave?
I don't know, but I will be telling my grandkids about the great Felix the Cat debacle. Like, never touch this game, whatever you do.
Take one thing from me.
No, but it is really interesting what you said about almost leaving an online legacy and how that kind of works with today's society without never being a thing. It's interesting to see how that's going to go. It brings me to the movie Coco.
Okay.
Great movie. It kind of
Good move.
like these people while before you have your online persona or online identity, other than like books and some black and white pictures, there's no one that will remember you really, like after like a century, unless you're like famous person, like your grandkids aren't going to remember you realistically. And with the day and age of the internet, there is a very possibility that here in that couple hundred years, these videos could still be somewhere, and that's kind of an interesting thing that never happened in human history. So that's an interesting thing to think about. But about the question, I do think there is an innate human desire to be remembered. When you think of a scenario of two scenarios, you dying and you being erased from existence and everyone forgot you existed. The part where I'm erased from the existence, I mean, they both have the same outcome, but where I was erased from existence, that's a lot scarier to me. Having it almost, if you are forgotten, it seems like everything that you are currently experiencing and putting out into the world is meaningless if that is to be forgotten. It could be nihilistic way of viewing about it. I mean, I'm sure my little, I'm sure like the butterfly effect, me holding a door open for a lady saying I like your shirt, that could have outcomes in other people's lives and so on and so on and so on. I'm sure we are affecting the world more than we know, but to be forgotten, it's definitely it's a scary idea. So the answer to my question, I definitely want to be remembered, and honestly, one of the better ways to preserve you as a person is probably online media nowadays. To be truthful, I mean, if you don't have any pictures up, any videos up, nothing about you online, you kind of have word of mouth and whatever photos and stories your kids and grandkids have. But other than that, you won't have a whole lot to be remembered by. So it is interesting.
It is true. And I can't remember if it's since we're talking about movies, and I can't remember which one it was, but there was I think it was a Michael Keaton movie, where he had done something like that. Like he found out he had some disease, and either he had a child on the way or the child was really, and basically he just made his whole personal vlog, which would have been recorded on 8mm or CDs or some shit, some pre-internet behavior. But that's what he had done. Basically, the one clip I could always remember from the trailer, at least, was he's sitting there. It's like, okay, so today I'm going to teach you how to shave. So you go up and down, but never go side to side. Never go side to side. And I still quote that every so often. Given, like I say, I've got one boy and 2 girls, but like still up and down, never side to side. You're going to cut yourself. Don't do that shit. So, like I said, but that's it's intriguing. Like I said, I think, as you say the words, yeah, I think that's part of where. Again, that's where I say I think this really kind of spawned was there's something of me still going to be around somewhere if somebody wants to see it, and hopefully, like I say, maybe even there's some stranger out there. I know, I'll name drop right now. I know on the internet there's a fellow who passed away last 2 years, actually 2 or 3 of them. The one I'm thinking of is a man named Patman CQ or Patman QC. And he did video game reviews and all that, really heavy, hardcore, talked about a lot of stuff I did as a kid, and he did. He passed away. I went back, every so often I go and I watch his videos, watch his stuff, just to, one, hear his voice and keep it going. I mean, I didn't know the guy from any different than anyone else on the internet, but somewhere I'm hoping at least one, I feel a hole in my life that I would like to still be getting filled. But I hope somewhere that I help his wife and kids and his family know that someone's still thinking of him too.
I agree. It's definitely interesting how we're in unexplored territory with the internet and online presence. Your online footprint is everlasting. That was kind of never a thing. There wasn't a worldwide connection that everyone had access to anything you put out back in the day. Like people from different countries, there's probably back in the day. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of years ago. People from different countries, you probably couldn't name one person, or you've never even seen a person from a different country. It's kind of interesting how things pan out.
You made me think. Actually, you started to say that. Like, I remember my grandmother passed away, and she was very old. I was very young. But she passed away, and we were cleaning out her home, and I found photos of people. No idea who they were. I couldn't find somebody who knew who these people were. And that's the way it was in the Hells. That was 30 years ago, 40 years ago. 30 years ago. Wasn't that long ago, but still, yeah, it's just, there's faces of people who I somewhere share blood with that not by any fault of my own. They're lost because I don't know who they are, and there's nobody can tell me who they are, and I don't know if there's anyone who remembers who they were, even if I showed them. So it's a weird thing, but like I say, I guess I'm glad we have this because some degree, like I say, yeah, they're going to remember this, and y'all better remember I'm an asshole, and I just want you to not forget it.
Yeah, all I'm saying, the world would be pretty boring if there was no assholes. You kind of need the assholes. It balances things
Sorry.
out.
Oh, go ahead. At Bear Haas, we believe soap shouldn't just clean you, it should elevate you. That's why each bar is cold pressed by hand using ingredients so natural that borderline concerning. We start with dew collected from yoga mats at dawn, then we infuse it with essential oils of endangered herbs, lovingly harvested by people who've never heard of Wi-Fi. Our secret ingredient, Whisper fermented moon basil. Every bar of Bear Haas takes 40 days to cure and 40 more to emotionally mature. When you lather with Bear Haas, you're not just washing your body, you're rinsing away the burden of those who still use store-bought soap. Bear Haas, because purity isn't a goal, it's a lifestyle we invented first. Visit bearhaas.su and enter code VGRPOD for 10% off your first order and a free sample if you qualify.
Well, we don't really have an exact format like we usually do for movies, so we're kind of going to jump right into it. Well, we'll start off with The Seventh Seal. It is directed, the story is directed and written by, guys, I'm going to try, Ingmar Bergman. Sounds right. Directed and
Sounds
written.
right.
It was an older movie published in 1957. It's called The Seventh Seal. The Swedish name, I'm not even going to try to pronounce today, but this was started off by a Bergman screenplay. It was based off of his own play called The Wood Painting. So kind of interesting. What do you think, Larry? First impressions, did you have anything coming into this? What did you expect? What did you find out?
Well, definitely this is new world, no flashback remembrance behaviors of this. You brought this up. I looked at it. I'm like, this is intriguing, and I mean, immediately went in to watch probably the first 10 minutes just to see what I agreed to, and it does feel very classical on the idea, like, you know, it just opens up, and I don't think there's any soundtrack to it really. Little thunderclap, and the movie kind of begins. And almost immediately I was intrigued. I'm like, okay, so what are we getting into? These people definitely aren't the beautiful people that you're used to seeing on the screens nowadays. And I was just really I was taken to awe, almost to the point of originally saying it's like a car accident. One that's like, you're not sure what you're seeing, but you can't really take your eyes off of it. I mean, is that the best way to put it? I don't know.
I get that.
But boy, it drew me right in. My youthful, childlike wonder of what it is that I'm seeing gauge filled to the top, and I immediately was just kind of in awe. Now, like I said, that was literally the first 10 minutes of watching this thing. I think I get through the first two scenes, maybe, so I guess maybe 15 minutes of it. At that point, it's like, oh yeah, I'm in. I'm fully in, because that's as far as I got before I talked to you when we seen each other the other day.
Mhm.
So that's my initial. I mean, I was gung ho, and that's where I'm going to start on.
It's definitely interesting. It's definitely different. We both went into this completely blind, and it is it's a cool way to experience media, going into something completely blind, to where not even our cultural norms are affected by this movie. Like, there's some movies that are so infamous, like Fight Club, I mentioned earlier, which I already knew kind of the twist of the movie going into it. And it is cool going into a movie not even knowing the premise of it. So it's very interesting, and I think that's how I think most media, most books, most movies are meant to be dove into completely blind. and that we were. It was very interesting. And first impressions, I noticed 50s movie. They showed the shoreline, like it was kind of a cinematic shot of the shoreline towards the very beginning, and I instantly thought, "I'm like, oh shit, this looks really good." I was not at all expecting this, and it kind of shot back to some clips I've seen. I haven't watched the full movie, but 2001: Space Odyssey, and you see that's only a decade after this. I mean, that's 1968, and they have shots that are absolutely like crazy that look almost like very modern, and I kind of got that vibe at the very beginning. I mean, some of the costume designs and stuff is very aged. Don't get me wrong, a bit, and some of the soundtrack is aged. You can definitely tell it's old when they do have a soundtrack. The very few times they do, mostly they play it for like a moving scene or like a transition into a different scene.
Yeah.
Kind of they set the tone for the next scene they're trying to get at. But going into this blind, it was very intriguing in how they kind of portrayed death, and when they said they were going to play chess, and how death and how I can't remember his name now.
Onios Block.
Yeah, Mr. Block. I'm going to call him Mr. Block, and how Mr. Block approached the conversation with death was very intriguing. But yeah, we'll jump right into it. I mentioned how surprisingly good some of the shots were, and somehow how some stuff was dated. What did you think graphically? Did it hold up, or what was your opinions on that?
As cinematic art, I thought it was beautiful, and I mean, give it a front. I didn't really like say my all and my dismay, or not my dismay, but just my all of what I'm seeing. It was kind of throwing me off. But when I came back to watch it again and look at it again, it was like, yeah, this shot was thought out. This was very pretty. And strange, like I imagine you did the same thing. You watched it online just like I did. It did not have that classic grainy look. It looked like film watching it on a DVD, a VHS. Hell, maybe it would look like to somebody who watched it in the 50s. But I thought everything looked really tight, really crisp. Lines were clean. The only thing that looked kind of off was a little bit of the fading between scenes where you'd have the clouds kind of overplaying on top of stuff. The lightning I thought was pretty interesting. I was intrigued, like how the hell did they make lightning happen in a 1957 movie?
Yeah,
which I'm sure it's just some imposed picture on top of picture stuff. But again, I mean, the actual just scene to scene was thought out, was really was well, it was tight. I did watch a thing to help kind of give me some artsy thing on, which then again, like I said, when I looked at it again, I see it. The angles were weird. They weren't straight on like UI or we're at a fixed angle as we're doing. They give you angles to give you like perspective. You're looking up, you're looking down, you're looking over at stuff. So it almost kind of like made you feel like you were a fly on the wall watching this. And very, very good cinematography. I think part of that's what helps us carry on 70 years later.
I agree. And another thing about graphically that was impressive to me, and this was obvious due to them not having CGI back in the day. Everything was real. If they had a camp set up, like the town set up, like from scene to scene, everything was real. They're pushing a carriage. That's a real carriage. They're pushing it through the lake. That's real. And that really adds to it. You don't. Sometimes when you're watching a modern movie, you can tell CGI, and you would think it would be like graphically it wouldn't be as impressive since it's a movie from the 50s in Sweden, but it really was. It was pretty cool, and I'm pretty sure this was shot in 35 millimeter film, and it was. I'm not sure the exact aspect ratio, but it wasn't wide. It was like almost a square. I don't know if you noticed that. Like the sides of your screen were like blocks, and it was square. It wasn't wide like most stuff is shot in now.
I guess that's the classical 4:3 as we would know it today, but I'm sure the resolution was a whole other issue there. But
yeah.
I do want to touch back on something you said, and I want to make sure I get it in here as we're talking about looks and appearances of this. Sir Block, the knight, the star of this movie, had the chintziest looking freaking knight outfit I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you could
Yeah.
tell it's supposed to be chainmail with the cross hanging off the front of them and all that, but
Mm.
like, damn, dog, that was the one thing I guess kind of worried me up front. It was like, oh, like this is low budget horror movie stuff, but it kind of made sense as it went on why it looked the way it did. But like I said up front, that was the one thing that jumped out of me that visually was kind of like off at first.
Yeah, the costume direction was a little dated for sure. And speaking of appearances, that Yoff, the actor, the one that had the wife that had the kid, it's
Okay.
Jan or Yoff or something.
Yeah,
actually, let me see it here. Yeah,
Joff.
yeah, it was Joff or Yoff or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was dating up. I'll just say that. Speaking of appearances, he was dating way. He was dating way up.
Hey,
everyone in the movie looked like they were from the 50s, and she looked like she was straight from Miami.
Yeah, she would still be, she'd still be a looker today. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I guess this is hope for anybody who's listening. Funny guys, it pays off. It pays off.
There we go.
So
yeah, it was, and we don't have to go very deep into this, but soundtrack wasn't a ton of soundtrack. Like I said, more like for scene transitioning, or if you had or towards the end of a scene or the beginning of a scene, or a cinematic moment, there was a slight soundtrack, but there wasn't like an overarching soundtrack throughout the movie. A lot of it was just atmosphere and dialogue, and so not a ton of soundtrack to touch on. What do you have anything to say about that?
no, I agree with you. I mean, it's I almost think it was done like they would have done quote unquote silent movies, like with those they filmed it. There's no audio to really have. And they came back and basically when they sent it to the cinema, the theater, they said, "Here, play this record with it when you do these parts and all that." So that kind of, and it sounded like it came from a record that was being played in there.
It did.
But outside of that, I mean, outside of like you say, some transitional stuff, I think towards the end, or no, it was about somewhere about the third act. Joff, the acrobat, the actor, whatever, he was playing his little fiddle lute.
They called it something. Yeah, lute. I'm pretty sure they called it a lute.
Yeah, well, he sat there and played it in the background, and I think that's the only time that they actually had some music that seemed to be part of the scene, not just something to help you move around through the slow part.
Yeah, that's when they were having their great meal of strawberries and milk.
Yeah, I like dinner, but it's very good, very good.
I'm sure it was. We're gonna go on a little bit differently. Past this point of the video, I guess this is a spoiler warning. I want to kind of go through the movie with you and kind of explain it in our own words, kind of what we saw. Starting off, explaining to this for the people out there. So if you want to go out and watch this movie, go back and watch it. It's an hour and a half. Won't take too long. Come back to this video. Timestamp it. It starts off. Antonius Black, Sir Black, or Antagonist Black, whatever the hell his name is. He's off on his beach. They got back from war pretty much for 10 years, and he's on this beach, and he's washing his face off, and he looks up surprised, and he sees Death there. And before all this is happening, he has a chessboard set out, and pretty much he has conversations with Mr. Death there, and he said, I heard, Death, you're quite good in chess. If I beat you, you'll let me live, pretty much. And that's kind of how the story progresses with this. So they play like a sequence, and then later in the movie they play another sequence. Later in the movie they play another sequence. You don't get a ton of the actual chess game, which when I first thought that, I thought it was literally going to be like the whole movie was going to be them on the beach playing chess, like having a conversation. I literally thought that.
I actually thought at first, when they first start the chess game, it kind of like cuts into the next scene. I thought maybe, he lost, he won.
I did too.
He's going to be something. I mean, we're in the 21st century now, so here you are again. Spoilers, if you will. I thought it's like he died, and it's just going to be him roaming the earth, going through something, trying to understand something. But no, like you say, later on they keep playing and keep going. It's like, oh, okay, so they pause for a minute. Okay, I didn't know they have a save state.
Yeah, pretty much. And I actually thought the same exact thing. I thought it was going to be that, or either it was going to show Mr. Block and they meet with somebody else, and they say, and he talks about how he beat Death in a chess match, and it was going to be like he was going to like brag about he evaded Death and stuff like that, and like Death's probably eventually going to catch up to him. That's kind of what I thought it was going to go off of when they cut away from the chess scene, but yeah, they got a good memory.
Real quick though, I gotta say, if nothing else, I do love the very opening scene. It because it in itself leads to questions. Because basically, Sir Block is laying there, kind of just pimping, like waiting around, like I'm just hanging out, me and my chessboard here, see what's going on. And then his squire Jean over there's fucking straight passed out on the rocks, and just kind of gets up like, oh, good morning, here I am. I'm, it's like I just woke up from a bender or something. No, I've been at the Crusades for 10 years, but it's a weird intro to come in. I guess they didn't know how to get them there,
Yeah.
But I mean, either they partied really hard or they just washed up on the shore. One of these two things happened. We'll never know, but that's just how that opens. And I thought that was amusing too, as I look back at it.
Yeah, they didn't really go into detail about their past lives, that's for sure, or how they ended up where they were, which I kind of don't mind. I don't. Sometimes flashbacks get a little muddy, and I kind of just have in my imagination to picture what happened. And then we cut to our other group in the story. Shortly after that, Mia, Yoff, and another one of their actor friends. I can't remember the name of.
Scat,
Mia, and Yoff. This actor group. Yoff's a juggler, and they go from town to town in this plague-ridden area and perform. I guess back in the day, maybe that was a type of profession. You were almost like a jester going performing and acting stuff out.
Yeah, it's entertainment, traveling entertainment. I mean, because what else were you doing, right?
Yeah, get to see the world, I guess. And yeah, they're in the city. They travel to. They're performing on stage. Scat goes off and messes with the blacksmith's old lady there in the back of the scene. And out through, we're gonna have to, guys. We're summarizing this with our own memory, so you're gonna need some help. Help me out here. And is this just like a plague group, like people warding off the plague that come like marching through the town? Like, what was that supposed to be?
Well, we'll back up here because you missed the scene where they stopped at the church.
Oh yeah,
the Block and John stopped at the church, and part of that was he was looking to figure out, hey, is there a preacher here I can talk to, try to get some answers on some of my overrunning questions, and there wasn't. But they had the painter guy there, and he was telling about this religious rite that comes around and does this stuff. So yeah, they're basically. I don't know. I don't know what you would call it. Just I don't want to say like a mob, but basically a group of people who are hardly hardcore religious about one, religious, and two, people begging and pleading for forgiveness from God because of the plague. I think they just go from town to town saying, better give your soul to God now because hell's coming.
That's a very good point, and I believe I completely skipped over that part. And yeah, that is. I guess they would just be like a religious. Almost like culty religious, almost evangelical, almost to what we have now. But they would literally they'll be punishing themselves, literally like whipping themselves as they're marching through the town. And I believe before the town, there's also a scene with Block at a church that's confessing his sins to what he thinks is a priest, and he's talking about it and almost questioning. At this point, and he's very much questioning if God's real. He's a religious man. He's been fighting in the name of God for a decade, but God has never spoken out to him. He's been silent, and his silence was concerning to Block. And he was talking to this priest. The priest wasn't really budging on anything, giving him any answers. And then he mentions how he's playing chess with death and how he's going to flank him with his knight. And then the priest turns, and it's actually he's talking to death, and he's like, I'll keep that in mind. So it's kind of interesting how death travels throughout the world. He's like not human. He's an omnipotent being that can teleport or travel wherever he needs to be. So it is interesting how they portray him in that as well.
I guess even the same, I don't want to say the same scene, but the same locale, his squire runs into a monk. I think this is where he finds him. and he recognizes the squire recognizes the monk. He's like, "Hey, you're the one who convinced my master to go fight this crusade 10 years ago, and now look at you. You're here being basically a thief because at the time he was robbing dead bodies."
And he actually the squire saved this mute girl from presumably being raped. I guess that's what was the implications of that, or being killed or something.
Yeah, that was what was weird. I didn't know if he was saving her from the monk.
I think
but
so, because the monk had her almost pinned down.
Okay. I partially because I think back to it, I'm like, I was a little thrown off because he was like, I could rape you, I could take you. It was like, whoa, calm down there, John. Shit, dude.
Yeah.
He like tries to kiss her. I'm like, that was
Mhm.
like, where the hell did that come from? So, a little threw me off there. But again, that was probably just part of trying to read and pay attention to what's going on. But
This is also
this
70
this
years
monk,
ago, so
yeah, I mean that's
different
probably
times.
pretty normal. But
Yeah.
the monk does, he kind of has like a running part in this too, but that'll come
Mhm.
back around later.
Yeah. So interrupt me if I skip something because I'm just going based off memory here. I don't have a written out thing, but yeah, they see the religious cult marching through the city, and kind of everyone gets worried, and then after that, is this where everyone they kind of met up, or is this like soon after that? Oh yeah, that's kind of when they met because Black and the Squire was watching the play kind of
Yeah,
before this happened, and that's kind of how they all met.
and that's where the blacksmith, he kind of gets up drunk, wanders off. His wife apparently gets horny for the actor guy and runs off with him in the woods, and they all start kind of just bumping into each other at that point because they're all stuck in the same little town.
Yeah, and soon after that, Sir Block and Mia wonder upon each other, and they start talking and Mia has her little child, and they meet up with Yoff. And like we mentioned earlier, they had their great feast of strawberry and milk, and then he set up his chessboard, and then he went down and he played death, and I'm pretty sure at this point, was it this point when he lost his queen? I couldn't remember.
I believe so. Yeah, that's when he finally gets the queen taken, and I can't remember what he responds to, but they've all friended up at this point. They're hanging out, chilling out, and they say he decides to stop and play with him again. A weird thing, which I do know you missed this earlier, but it happens a couple times in this movie. Joff, the acrobat actor guy, he has visions. Early when we first meet him, he sees Mary and what he believes is Jesus walking by, and his wife's like, "Oh, and your crazy visions." Well, now he sees Block playing chess with Death. Mia doesn't see Death sitting there. She just sees Block sitting there playing chess, which I thought was intriguing. I'm like, why does Joff see Death sitting there, but she don't?
It is interesting how they use that, because normally you can only see death when you're going to die. Because
Yeah.
how they go throughout the whole movie is, if somebody sees death, that's like you're going to die. If you see death, if you're not going to die, you don't see him. So it is interesting. We'll get into that later. But as Mia and Block are talking, I think directly before this, the blacksmith, which ran off with the other squire, is kind of confronting Yoff about, hey, your man, what did you guys do with my wife? Your man is off with my wife, and they make him dance and make a fool out of him. And that's when the squire runs into the monk again, almost because the monk is who is kind of tormenting him as well. And the squire says, I remember my promise. Next time I see you, I'm going to leave a mark on your face, a permanent mark on your face. So he cuts him with some sort of knife, and then they go on about their day, and everyone meets up, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're jumping around a little bit, but yeah, we're pretty much up to that point where, I guess Block enjoyed the company of everyone, the actors, and all that, and said, "Hey, come with me through the forest. Don't go down to this town here because
It's
it's
plague-ridden,
ravaged
yeah.
by the plague. So come with me through the forest. Once we get there, you can come stay in my castle with us, and you'll be fine there. You won't get plagued." So that's when they all decided to start going through the woods, I believe.
Yeah, and actually, I forgot to mention an interesting part when Block and Death were playing chess. He mentions Mia and Yoff by their full names and their kid. So, or maybe this is a little later. Is this when he? I'm pretty sure. No, this was before that. He just mentioned them by their name, and Block was suspicious of that, almost like Death has them in mind. So he's
Yeah.
suspicious of that.
Well, I was thinking, but I think I thought because they do stop in the woods at some point to make camp or something, right? Because I think that's
Yeah,
when
and
they ran into the other actor and the guy's wife.
yeah, after that, that's when they all meet together, and then for some reason, I don't know exactly why, the blacksmith wanted to go with the squire because he was so lonely now. He wanted to go with them, go to the forest with them. So now the group of people that are going to the forest is Block, his squire, Mia Yoff, their child, and the blacksmith are about to go through the forest, make their journey there to the castle. So they're all safe. So they start their journey.
No, okay, so the wife is in there now, right? The blacksmith's wife.
No, not at this point.
Okay,
Eventually
cool.
she
Sorry,
does.
go on.
But they start off their journey, and it by the seams of it, like quickly after they start their journey, they run into the wife and the squire, and then actually they get into the blacksmith that said he was going to kill the squire. They get into a scuffle, and then or kill the other actor. They get into a scuffle, and then the actor faked his death with this toy knife and stabs him in the heart.
That was a funny scene. Like he straight
Yeah.
hustled this guy. Like, oh, this guy's an idiot. We're gonna hustle him, and because he has a beard on, all this stuff, and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna take all this off, and tomorrow I'll find him and we'll be good. But I was like, it's like a small bit of comedy they stuck in here
Yeah.
for some reason. You know, for 1957, this had been like ludicrous type comedy too.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. And actually, the blacksmith goes on forgiving him and saying, "Oh man, I wish you wouldn't have done that. I was starting to like the guy." And of course, he instantly forgives his wife for cheating because he's a sucker. And the squire's kind of pointing at the whole time, like, "This is where he does this, and this is where he forgives her, and this is where she's going to talk about making his favorite meal."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was kind of a funny way. And then
That was a good scene.
and then they all drive off, or they all ride off by the carriage. And then the other actor that was sleeping with the blacksmith's wife crawls up a tree and says, "I'll wait here for now until they're all gone. Then I'll meet up with everybody." And then he hears somebody cutting down a tree, and he looks down, and Death is cutting down the tree. And then you have this conversation, pretty much saying, "Yep, it's your time." And he saw Death, so it was his time to die.
Now let's pause the movie here at this second because
Yes.
this brings up one of my logic lost points of this, and it's like, did he, in the reality of the world that we live in and they live in, did he get in a tree that was too small for him and the branch broke and he fell?
I think that's how I interpreted that, or the tree fell down when he climbed up it, or climbed. Is that the past tense of climb?
Yeah.
When he climbed up the tree, it fell off, or a branch. I was thinking it wasn't clumb. He climbed up the tree and the branch broke, or the tree fell over or something. But they were kind of like symbolizing that as Death cutting down the tree. That's how I took it.
Okay. Well, like I said, the thing that I said that I wanted to say is like, because that's what happens in the scene physically as you see it is he's climbing the tree. He's like, okay, I'm good here. I'm going to stay here. And next, Death is cutting the tree down. I'm like, wait a second. He's just supposed to be collecting dead. He's not supposed to be killing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of threw me off. But I'm like, is that the metaphorical way of saying, oh, the tree broke, but the tree broke because Death cut it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Death actually had a soul out there, or maybe he did. Maybe we're just in this world. Death is killer and collector kind of.
Okay, and watching enough Cinema Sins in my life, a continuity issue is why did he have like a bow saw instead of an axe?
I don't know. Maybe in Sweden they're more common. I don't know.
They seem like axe wielders to me. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe he rips out a chainsaw, starts cutting down the tree in the 1800s.
Little 2-cycle. But, all right, as we were, he like say, Scat's dead now. He's gone. Goodbye.
Yeah, rest in peace, Scat. Death took his toll there, so now it's It's the same group, but in addition, the blacksmith's wife is with them now. That's where it comes in. And then
I just remembered what I can't remember why they stopped in the woods, but I do remember what happened in there, why they were spending more time in that, and that was the girl we missed earlier. Was who was at the church. There was a lady that they were basically pegging as a witch, and they were going to take her to be sacrificed or to be purified. And while they're in the woods, lo and behold, here they come, the clergy guys from the church to bring her out to the woods to burn her at the stake or clean her soul, if you will. Things get a little interesting here.
They do. This is kind of where I got really intrigued. Like, it was keeping my intrigue. It was interesting the way the story was going, but kind of how they dealt with this, it was very intriguing. And I know we're jumping back and forth a little bit, but I forgot to mention that the mute girl's with him as well. That he's saved from the monk. The mute girl's with him as well, and then they see these people carrying these knights that are pushing this lady that's tied up. That we saw in an earlier scene that she was a witch and she was to be burned. So they stop at where they were being burned, and Black, intrigued with the devil and death and if God's real, has a conversation with the witch saying, do you know the devil? Can I talk to him? Because he wants to ask him questions. And she's pretty much, in my interpretation of it, she's pretty much brain broken from being tied up for days. She is convinced, and I'm pretty sure her hands were broken, is what they mentioned. She was convinced that she is bad, that she saw the devil is within her. She said, "Look in my eyes, you'll see the devil." And as Black looked in her eyes, she said, "I see nothing. I see fear. I see terror," is what he said. "I see nothing but terror." And then, because he wants to, the thing about Block's character is he is trying to figure out, he's not convinced, or maybe I think he's a believer, but he is to the point where he's questioning everything, saying, "I want God to show himself. I'm done this." He's committed 10 years of his life to God. He's probably his whole life. He's went on a 10-year crusade for him, and he has no answers so far. So he's going as far to try to get them from this quote-unquote witch that is touched by the devil, and he ends up finding nothing there as well. It's just a regular girl that they've pretty much are going to burn.
It's it is weird because he gets down there like, "Stay away from her. She's got the devil in her and all that." And he's like, "Have you seen the devil?" And even like, she's like, "He's behind you," and he looks. He jumps like, "Oh, he's trying to jump scare me, Satan," and it's like, he ain't there. It's like, and you could see his like disappointment. He knew at that point that she wasn't a witch, or she's in conversation with the devil. He's like, it's like, "You're going to die, and I can't watch this." And basically washes his hands over. But
And
I
they
do
feed her
notice
something, right?
that was weird too. I'm like, what kind of morphine shit did he give her? It's like, this will make the pain stop. Which I thought was intriguing that he whipped that out.
They mentioned like later, like literally a slight mention that the squire, it was something the squire had, like some like medicinal thing. I'm guessing it was like an herb or something. I don't know.
But yeah, like I say, they pretty much, he has this conversation with her. He's done with her. They put her up, and I can't remember who was talking at that point, whether it was a squire, which I'm going to believe it probably was. He seemed to narrate a lot of these things, but it's like, in her eyes at that moment, you could see that she had a realization that that it's here. She's dying. It's going to happen. Her faith in the devil or what have you has betrayed her.
And you kind of, yeah, it was definitely, no, sorry to interrupt you, but it was definitely a scary realization. And you are kind of seeing this part of the story, that this kind of religious cult, and they're kind of seeing it almost as nonsense. They are crying for the girl. Like, they know this girl isn't a witch. Like, and actually her hands have been broken. And they say, I forgot to mention this was just a minute before this, but they say her hand, he says, who has done her hands like this? Who has broken her hands? They said, "Oh, it's the monk over there that did it." And he go and talks to the monk and turn around, and it's death. and I think it's just another one of his death sightings. I don't think there's a long conversation. Death pretty much said, and it kind of goes deeper into his character. His character asked a lot of questions, and Death said, "Man, you sure ask a lot of questions." And
Yeah.
yeah, and it goes into that. But yeah, it's they're kind of seeing like some religious nonsense. Like, this is just a girl. The devil isn't within her. She's just burned. You're gonna get burned for just because, pretty much.
Yeah, and but like they're not interested at all of dealing with it or anything. It's kind of just it's already set, and I think that's a level of disappointment that they all share. It's just like this girl's fate's sealed for your all's fear or misunderstanding of the situation, and it's a heavy scene, and I don't say I get tied up in it, but I'm definitely still trying to process it. I guess I can't say what it was, what I was seeing. I mean, I knew what I'd seen, and I know what I heard, but it just definitely, like I say, the realization of you've been accused, you're wrong, and they're wrong, and I can't help you.
Mm-hmm. It's a sad, almost hopeless, helpless realization. It's tough to deal with. But
Mm-hmm.
the scene goes on. They wander off into the forest, and they stop at this spot. And I believe this is where the monk comes back into picture. When they stop, the monk
Yes.
stumbles down this hill at randomly forest, and he's been infected by the plague. And the squire yells, "Don't come any closer!" And the mute girl wants to help, but Squire said it's pointless. And then you see the monk's character. His character is fully written off. You can see him dying in agony, and then he finally perishes. And later in that scene, the chessboard is set back up. So block sets back down. And I'm not sure if it was intentional. Like, all of this realization has kind of clouded his mind, and all his mind has been judged by this love, the hate, the realization, the question for God is clouded. He hasn't really focused on the game, and he sees that it's checkmate. The next move is checkmate. One thing after another, checkmate, and then you see Death mentions the Mia and Yoff's name again, and Block doesn't want her to die, and you see the Yoff up there says, "Oh wait, Black is down there playing with Death himself," and to try to what I see as, or this is what happened. Block tried to help him escape, knocked his cape over, knocked over all the chess pieces, and then Mia and Yoff are running away, and Death says, "Oh, don't worry, I remember how they were." Sets them all back up, but Mia and Yoff got away. They're riding away at this point. But
that I think, like I say, there's something in this where, yeah, we're not placing that together, but that's what happened.
mhm.
And I don't know if that was supposed to be a redemption arc or something in this, because he's seen that somehow that this small family that he really enjoyed had made him happy, but also were in great danger. So I think that he definitely did. Whoops! I knocked over the chessboard. We can't finish. He's like, "Oh no, I got you." As he puts back, distracts Death, which gives them an opportunity to flee, which leads into them hiding from Death later on. Which it was weird because he had even mentioned it slightly that, no one beats me, no one gets away.
True, he does.
And
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm pretty sure what you just brought up. It's actually a really important point that I didn't bring up. Yoff or Block mentions to Death, like, I'm starting to realize, does nobody escape Death? And Death says very coldly, very plainly, "No one escapes me." Like, so it's kind of, he's having a realization that I was never going to beat him. If I was marked for death, I was marked for death, pretty much.
Yeah, he felt good to toy with him and let him, play his little game and go on. But it's like, yeah, in the end of this, I win. So
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mia and Yoff go their separate ways, and a different the other group. So we have the blacksmith's wife, the squire, Block, and the deaf girl. Now we have 5 people, and they run off. It's storming like crazy. See, at this point, Block is already checkmated, so he kind of already knows his fate is sealed. The way he's acting, they finally arrive to his castle, this enclosed, tight space where they're all together, and he meets up. And Block meets up with his wife. 10 years. They talk together, and they're all in this enclosed space, and they hear a knock on the door, and the squire opens his door. No one's there. He sets back down. They all sit at the table, and then it's almost like a realization, like all of them at the same time can now see Death. I mean, and they can all see Death, and they pretty much know that they're done for. And it's really interesting. We'll get our opinions on this because this is the ending. The ending sequence is, I feel like, one of the most impactful parts of the whole story. But I'm pretty sure their death was one of them somehow got the plague, and when they went into the enclosed spaces, they all died from the plague. That's kind of what it was going for.
I don't disagree. Honestly, I thought it was a subtle thing that happened in there. The monk that we mentioned earlier who died of the plague, who originally was the thief who had done all those things. I thought that he had brought it by Joff taking the bracelet that he was stealing off the dead body and taking it and giving it to his wife and her putting it on her arm. I thought that was how it's brought over to her. But obviously it didn't. But so yeah, somewhere in that someone had to have gotten the plague, obviously.
You know where it could have happened? Could have happened when Yoff cut him up and something with his blood or something got on him or something like that.
Fair.
Because you saw blood squirting everywhere. So it could have been the squire that got it, or like the blacksmith, or I guess the other actor could have had the plague and given it to the wife, and maybe he died from the plague and not a tree branch. But that was kind of a symbolic way. I don't know. It leaves it up for interpretation. There's not a clear. It's kind of a clear-cut interpretation of they died from the plague because once they all got into an enclosed space, that's when death came for all of them. So that's kind of what they're going for. How they got the plague, it's not really clear. But yeah, what was interesting about the final death scene, or one of the final scenes when they're all at the dining table and they see Death? What did you notice?
Hey, I don't know. I think I probably should have actually went back and watched that one because I know the mute girl is probably what threw me off a lot because she was like up front, like almost like, "Oh, you're here, please take me." I mean, she seemed like she was waiting for it. It's like, I've been dying to see you. But yeah, I mean, they basically sat down and had a meal with him. I mean, the wife invited him to come sit with us. They all recognized him, who he was and what he was there about. But I guess, yeah, they just all kind of humbly just took it in.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they dealt with it. From my perspective, I think they all dealt with it in a different way, kind of based on their character. You saw that Block, he was still didn't have any of his answers, and he was searching for meaning. The squire, John, was almost like joking, like kind of an F religion, like kind of rejected religion thing. And the mute girl, which I didn't know she was mute, but she said her first words for the whole movie. It kind of makes sense. She said, "Is it finished?" I think is what she said. And yeah, they all dealt with it in a different way, which that was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't. Again, it may be part of what the director, the writer was trying to help give you an opportunity to interpret was, how they're welcoming it, how they've accepted it. Just seeing them all the realization Death walked in the room. And he's sitting down for dinner. So that itself was kind of an open way of leaving that and looking at it. But they collectively seem to handle that well.
Yeah, it was the for what it was. They definitely did seem to handle it well. There wasn't anybody that was like screaming or freaking out. Like I think actually Block might have been the most freaked out. I mean, he was kind of like had his hands covered and he was like speaking to himself, like still questioning it. He didn't get his answers. The blacksmith was just like confused, not talking, or confused, like saying like, "Oh, what's going on?"
Well, I think as you say that, I do believe that's what Block was. He realized in that moment, I'm here. This is it. One more time, God, please prove to me you're real.
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, nobody knew what was beyond that.
I think it also does show one of the main points what they were trying to get at. You see all 5 characters in the room that died, or five or six, whatever. They all had different character arcs, very different personalities. Some pure, some innocent. Some were on a crusade for 10 years. One was a cheater, one was a sinner, one was an idiot. No matter what, Death handled it equally. And I feel like kind of the points he was getting at is the equality in depth. No matter what, Death will. You're pure, you're innocent, you're a sinner, you're a cheater. No matter what, Death is cold and Death is equal. I feel like that's kind of what it was trying to get at.
I feel you there. Like I said, I think at first that was my. I don't know if we're hitting final phases or not, but I think that's where my overrunning initial thought of this is death comes for all, because that was definitely expressed early on in the church. To every person, death is the one thing that we'll have. I have to say, though, like I say, now I may have been molded by someone's opinion on it, but I can see the opinion of it. And I guess, if I may, I'm gonna start to work myself into a finalization. Sir Block, his overarching story, which I take, he's our main character, he's who we're following through the majority of this. He wants to know, is God real? And he spends his last days trying to find the answer, the question. Death even asks him, boy, you ask a lot of questions. And I think that at some point, and we'll go back to the strawberry and milk scene, that's the only time he doesn't really ponder it. And I think that itself was a message inside this whole thing of, you can spend your life searching for answers, or you can live in a moment that seems good. Because at that point, he was happy. He was glad to talk to the girl. He was happy to see the small child. He was happy to see the couple in love, enjoy a meal with them as he played music for him. And like I say, he didn't really talk about death. He didn't talk about God at that moment. Once the moment had broken and he went back to his chess game with death again, then he became back into this whole I need to know. And forgive me, I can't remember who pushed this idea, but I do think it's a good metaphor for life is, we can spend every waking moment trying to figure out why we're here, what's there, what's next, is God real, is God not real, but you miss life when you don't sit there and enjoy what life is for you, for me, for however, you individually. And he's seen it with the Mia, Joff, and Mikel, the baby. So, and even more so is weird, which I don't see it, but I get it. Some say that may even be the metaphor for Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. But I look at it more simply as they're saying, like you say, life is what happens while you're busy doing other things. And his other thing at that point was trying to figure out what's the meaning, why are we here, where are we going, instead of just, maybe just enjoy those 70, 80 years you have.
I couldn't agree more. It seems like that was almost Block's biggest mistake, was spending a lot of his final moments questioning, trying to find answers, which I think in parallel there was Yoff, which didn't try to find answers. He lived life in his moment. He was an actor. He liked art. He had his wife. People told him to dance on a table. He danced on a table. He kind of just went with the flow. He didn't ask any questions. And I feel like in his purity and in his innocence is maybe why he can see death, because in the getting into the final scene, the actual final scene, you see the death's dance, and we see it from Yoff's perspective. Yoff is off in the distance on a beach with Mia and Mikel's, I think is what you said, Mikel the baby.
Yeah.
Which one? Mikel the baby, Mia, and Yoff are off in the distance. They have their traveling cart, and through Yoff's perspective, you see in the distance one of the famous scenes of the movie is Death's dance. Death kind of leading all 5 of them on, and he has this. He sees them. He can see death, even if he's not marked for death for some reason. In his innocence, in his purity, in his self not asking for questions, he can see death, and it is kind of interesting. He explains this scene like, "Oh, that's funny." Death is dancing with all of them. I can see it now. And then Mia says, "Oh, is this another one of your visions?" And kind of laughs it off. And we kind of
Yeah.
see that no, he can see these things. Like these aren't visions. It's something about his character, the opposition in parallel to Block's character, his purity. He can see these things for some reason.
Yeah, I make sense. Maybe it's the innocence that Joff had with it, with the whimsical kind of freeness that he showed, letting go of all these trivial things and just like I said, I could see the world for what it is, and I could see that, and even more so, it may have been a metaphor, so like, there's something, there's something going on, but you're going to dance off with death and go to wherever you go. So it is one of those movies I think that's opened up to a lot of interpretations, and probably still a half a dozen things here that we haven't even seen or thought that's in this. So, even I'll just like say I got to swing back because I just thought about it, looked up again. And Antonius Block spent his time looking for it, and if you actually like say you think about where he's wasting all his time, Squire John's kind of over there, kind of like, dude, don't worry about it, man. Just master, please, let's move, let's go, let's do these things, let's go on. And he's like, no, I must figure this out. It's like, okay, because when Squire Johns gets off on his own, he's he's eating, he's drinking, he's womanizing, he's thinking about his wife that he used to have. He's trying to pick up a new housemaid, which I guess concubine, second wife, whatever it be. But it's just he lives a little different with it. But I don't know. Like I said, it's very intriguing. The characters.
Character.
Yeah, I mean,
he might have been one of my favorite characters, like personality wise.
He was one of the grounded men in this. I think that was a high point for a lot of them. But yeah, I just there's so much depth in this. I mean, even as we still talk, we've went on for a bit here, and it's just I don't think we've hit everything on it. I'm sitting here looking on this other screen of a lot of these characters. That's why bits and pieces come back, but there's so many more people in here that are in there. Like I don't even know why they're named.
100%. I'll touch on one more thing, and then we do have to in this eventually. I mean, we could probably go on for another hour, but another thing you could kind of interpret Block's way of saving Mia as I saved them from death because death is going to follow me and not catch up to them, and they're going to go in a different direction. Or you can figure out in the literal sense, or what I think what happened is Mia and Yoff went their separate way, and they didn't catch the plague that somebody had in the group. And that's why death didn't meet them, because they didn't end up passing or getting the plague from somebody, because everyone got the plague when they all got in close quarters with each other and ate a meal. Everyone got the plague. And I think Mia, Yoff, and Mikkel were just saved because they didn't get the plague passed to them. I don't think it was death was following Block, and he saved them. His sacrifice was they're not going to be with him when death finally meets up. I think it was just they didn't get the plague. I think that's the realest way to interpret it, and I think that's really interesting. There's like contrast there, how you could see it.
I agree. Actually, that's very intriguing because I did not ponder it as such as they just didn't catch it because they took off. But I could see where you're coming from. Like that's a very good point in this. But I don't know. Like I say, if we want to, just like say, I'll take my side of closing up. We can finish this. I'm going to watch this again at some point, just to really kind of wrap my head around it again. I think it's a good enough movie that you can give it a couple watches. It's a little out there. I mean, I don't think we've even said the words at this point that it's Swedish, but it's also completely a foreign language. So it does take a little bit to get into to focus and watch and read and do the two things at once, especially if you're not used to doing such things. But I think it's a very good watch, and I highly recommend that if you have an hour and 30 minutes, want to have your mind kind of turned, watch it. It's definitely worth your time. I know, hopefully, at this point, if you've made it this far in our podcast today, that you have watched it, because otherwise it's still gonna be a little weird. But you've missed the whole "what the hell did I get into" thing. But I just I find it hard to wrap this up and put a bow on it because I'm not there yet. There's still so much more that I think this movie can offer that I want to go back to and just really pick up. Not subtle messages, little messages, big messages. So I think it's a good watch. It's a good pick, eh?
I would definitely recommend it. Again, I was going in blind. When you think of 1950s movies, you kind of like, I don't want to watch a movie from the 50s. I mean, come on now. But this is one of those movies which I feel like you should watch. It's one of those movies when you come away from watching it, when you finish it, you're going to be thinking about it. It's going to be something that could change your way of viewing life, and I feel like a movie like that is important. And honestly, it holds up pretty well with time. I mean, I didn't get super bored watching it. I was intrigued all the way through. Intrigued more than most movies I watch, modern movies. So overall, I enjoyed it. I would recommend you watch it. It's an hour and a half. It's like a couple episodes of anime. I mean, watch a movie for God's sake. But we are going to rate it. But yeah, what do you want to?
I just like I said, I don't think our audience is young enough really to have this effect so much. But I do know a lot of us in today's age, 2026, spend a lot of time watching TV and playing on a device or doing something. This movie, one, you need to watch it with full attention, but it will keep every bit of that attention. I think it's a good, as I like to say a lot of times, it's a good palate cleanser on a lot of the shit you got going on in your world. As towards, one, it gives you an hour and a half to focus. That's not too long to try to watch one thing and stay at. I know we all have hard times with that, but it keeps you going. Nothing drags on so long as to want to look at your phone or want to do this. I mean, I said I just stopped the first time only because I wanted to check it out and then moved on. But when I sat back down and did it, I honestly I skipped a football game that was on TV to watch this, and I think it all worked out really well because I caught the last 5 minutes of the football game, which was crazy. But the movie was pretty good too. So I mean, it's a good one for your brain.
Oh, and we watched it on Plex, which no free ads, but I mean everyone has access to this movie. It's a free movie on there, had no ads, so check that out. You can watch it.
It's even on YouTube. I actually had the first 15 I watched on YouTube. But for some reason I said I'm gonna try out Plex to see how it runs and works there. Look good there, I'll say that.
And I liked, again, we got to finish this up, but I keep every time Larry talks, I think of something else. He mentioned a palate cleanser, and I couldn't agree more. It's kind of one of those things. There's no modern BS. There's no ideas being pushed. There's no product placement. There's nothing. None of that BS happening. It's pure cinema. It's pure film, and it's a story being told to make you think, and it's what it does. This movie makes you think for sure. But yeah, we're gonna rate this movie. Larry, do you have an idea in mind? I for some reason I haven't thought of a ranking yet. So,
well, given that this is the first time we've came out with this VGR's movie night and check a look at it. We don't have a whole lot of basis on it, but I don't have a whole lot of basis because I'll basically be Star Wars is my favorite movie series. All 12 of them put together. That's where I'm going to clump that. I don't know what number 2 is. Number 3, my favorite movie of all time is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. So I'm very weird in my selections. It's a very good movie. I will give it right out, and I'll set a bar for some degree on how I'm looking at it. I'm going to set this as like an 8.1. It's good. It keeps you entertained. It is a little hard, especially if you're not used to watching foreign films. But I don't think that's a great detour on not watching it. It's worth the struggle of getting through it because, I don't like to read. I don't like to read books. We'll put it that way. It's not that I don't read. I can't read. They tend to bore me. But there's enough happening in all of it. You can read and enjoy the movie at the same time. It's a good place to start if you're not into it. I mean, try it out. But 8.1, I think it's a fair rating for this movie.
That's a very fair rating, and I think I'm slightly higher on it simply because actually a majority of the media I watch is subtitles, non-English for some reason. Just because I watch a lot of anime and sub, And like I talked about, I watched some Korean stuff and a couple like a Brazilian movie, a bunch of Korean movies, like a Japanese movie. I watch a lot of stuff in subtitles, and my mind is trained for that. And I don't even notice it at this point. I just read the subtitles and watch it like it's nothing. But I'm sitting around where you are though. I feel like this is one of those movies that has its flaws. The costume direction is a little dated, but I can't really think of. I mean, it's ever so slightly slow in the beginning, but it's not really that slow. I mean, it's an hour and a half movie. I got to give it 8.6 is where I'm at. I'm sitting at 8.6. I feel like it's one of those movies that you should watch some point in your life.
But definitely, I don't know. Maybe that's the way we ought to look at some of this. Is should you not? No, that's still up for that. But I definitely like I say it's. I don't push a whole lot of movies, but this is one I think I would definitely put on my you need to watch at some point in time in your life movies.
I agree. And kind of ending it off here, guys, this is new for us. Let us know if you like VGR movie night. Also, if you want the trio for the VGR movie night. If you got a recommendation, throw us some recommendations. Maybe on our next VGR movie night, we'll pick one of those. But yeah, I had a good time. Personally, first experience. I love watching movies. I've been getting into it a lot more. I like movies like this that makes you think, and it's a cool little break from gaming, a different type of media to review.
No, yeah.
Yeah, Larry, what should all the fans do? And then I'll tell them what we got coming up.
Fair enough. Well, again, like Aidan said, you got suggestions, you got thoughts, got opinions. VGRPOD@gmail.com is where you're going to send that to. We also have an Instagram. We got the Facebook that nobody looks at. We're on YouTube. Watch us do this on YouTube. Listen to us on your favorite podcatcher. Still working, trying to get us on Apple, iTunes. There's a way. I'm having a moment with that, and we'll cross those bridges. But we're available on the internet. We'd like to hear from you, so definitely reach out. Let us know how you feel, what you think, and if you have this somewhere, give us a rating. Good, bad, whatever. At least that way, whatever you're listening to us on knows that you like or hate us, or at least you're listening long enough to let us know that you got an opinion. So,
I agree, guys. Check us out. See where we are. If you're listening to this on Spotify, check us out on Tube to see our pretty face. Got a link tree there with all of our Instagram, TikTok. He already said that. But yeah, guys, coming up next, we're still working on it, promise. It's kind of we're a little off schedule. Holiday break, we've been busy. It being a really long game, we've kind of been trying to give it an honest playthrough with all the craziness going on with the holidays. But Earthbound is coming up, if not next week, definitely extremely soon. It's going to be one of the most recent things we're putting out. But yeah, let us know if you want to see more of this type of content. Earthbound, here we come next. Alrighty, see you guys.
peace.